What is going on, snipers? Naeem Al-Obeidi here. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day today. I do have some explaining to do in this video, as well as talking about a question that I get a lot, which is which coin I'm most bullish on for 2018. The coin that I'm looking at right now is the BNB coin. It's a coin that I've been extremely bullish on since March 2nd. If y'all are Patreons, y'all know that our analysts and I are always trying to put out daily trade signals for y'all to take advantage of swings. And this was one of the first times that I posted a trade signal, even deeming the BNB coin as a long-term hold on March 2nd, which would have initiated you to receive all of the profits that we've seen today with this exponential run-up following the announcement of their own native blockchain. So there's a lot of things happening here, and I want to talk about why I think this coin is going to see some new all-time highs very soon, and that this is just the start to another exponential run-up that this is going to see, just like we saw here from December 10th all the way up to January 12th. If we were to draw out the Fibonacci retracement here as well, it'll give you an understanding of where we're most likely going to see price levels head over the next couple of weeks. And you can see how we're going to break right through the 0.5 into the 0.61 and then heading towards that 0.78 Fibonacci retracement. In my opinion, seeing new all-time highs for this token. And what's interesting is you can see volume here was extremely high, but now we're seeing this exponential run-up in volume because of the fact that we just had an announcement talking about their own native blockchain. And now, what's interesting about this is having your own blockchain will give you a lot more control and stabilization over your platform, kind of like how EOS is going from the ERC20 platform into their own native blockchain as well. So you can see they're also announcing different programs here that they're actually announcing, like the Binance Labs as well as Binance Info. And what's also cool about this is they're actually talking about liquidity within the Binance chain. Why is that important? Well, it's important because liquidity is what's going to raise the price of the BNB coin. Looking at it right now at number 24, you can see following this announcement, we had over a 25.8% run up. But in my opinion, this is nothing towards what we're really going to see in the next couple of months, which is why I'm deeming this as one of the most undervalued coins. And this kind of goes back to what we made the announcement for on March 2nd. For those of you that are patrons, people were asking me about why I think this is going to be a long-term hold, because we typically don't announce things as long-term holds. If you guys are getting our trade signals, y'all know that we've had some really cool trade signals over the past couple of days. Actually, one of them 2 days ago resulted in a 65% gain. Another one resulted in over a 30% gain. And then another one resulted in over a 40% gain yesterday. All of these trading alerts within the past 2 days. For those of you that are patrons receiving those, we also talked about SEC regulations. And this goes back to Binance, because they actually had a keynote recently at the Gibril Network conference. If y'all don't know, one of my mentors, Yazan, is actually the CEO of the Gibril Network. And I actually wasn't even invested in the coin because they didn't allow US investors. However, they did bring the Binance CEO for a keynote speech where he did talk about decentralizing his exchange. And I talked about this in our Ruby and Above Mastermind that was also posted yesterday on our Patreon, where we talked about SEC regulations on exchanges and coins, as well as a ton of other resources. I highly recommend, if you're not on our Patreon, we're announcing so many cool things here. Our analysts and I are always looking for different trade signals, and that's how we're able to conglomerate each other and get our different perspectives to go ahead and initiate these really cool trade alerts. Now, the SEC is important here because understand that they recently made an announcement saying that if you have a security that is listed on your exchange and you're not in compliance with the SEC, that it has to be delisted. So what that means for exchanges is if they don't comply with the SEC regulations, they will either have to cut off US customers, or they're going to have to go ahead and delist all coins that are deemed securities, which will actually be determined by the Howey test. Now, the Howey test is how you can primarily determine whether or not an asset is a security or not. And in Bitcoin's case, and in Litecoin's case, and several other coins, they won't be determined deemed securities because they do not pass the Howey test. There's also coins that are having airdrops where they're not raising funds, and there's 4 specific criteria on whether or not something is going to be deemed a security or not within the Howey test. And in my opinion, there are going to be some coins that aren't, and there are going to be some coins that are, but the question is which exchanges are going to comply the most. Now, Binance, in my opinion, based upon their vision and their CEO, if y'all watch this keynote, shout out to Box Mining for posting this, he talks about how he plans to have a decentralized exchange long term. And in my opinion, he's going to make sure that he can access the world and the global economy by being compliant with all regulations to ensure that most people can use his exchange. Now, what's also important to notate here is they're also implementing new technology, right? So they're doing a codex, they're also doing a blockchain technology incubator, and they're also planning, as you can see here, to officially launch the development of the Binance chain, which is what we're talking about. This right here is probably the most important part of this article. Understand they're talking about liquidity here, but the Binance chain will mainly focus on the transfer of trading blockchain assets, as well as provide new possibilities for the future flow of blockchain assets. So understand that they are really looking to use the BNB coin as something that will have extreme amounts of intrinsic value, and understanding a speculative market that we're in, and we are in a bubble market. There's no denial of that. The question is, which projects have intrinsic value? If you look at the .com bubble, if we were to pull up the NASDAQ here, you can see the .com bubble took over 15 years to recover. I was about to type in NASDAQ BTC, but if we were to look at a 1-week chart here, you can see how long it really took for this bubble to recover, where it finally saw the same type of price levels in 2015, whereas it had this huge exponential exuberance where a lot of these .com companies eventually were rendered useless, and only a few of them have really seen growth and actual use case, like Google, Facebook, Apple, and other companies of that nature. So looking at this market and knowing that this is a speculative bubble where people are speculating on the value of a lot of these coins, looking at something that has intrinsic value, in my opinion, is extremely important. So looking at Bitcoin right now, you can see we're in this horizontal trend. We've got several different resistance and support levels. And we're not going to be doing any sort of technical analysis here right now, but the point is, watching the BNB token in this whole market, it's always acted as a very, very confident coin in terms of technical analysis, whereas Bitcoin has seen a huge consolidation while the BNB coin has maintained its value. And in my opinion, that also shows extreme amounts of strength for this token. And I believe with the coin burn coming up in April, with the new announcement of their own native blockchain, this coin is going to see an extreme amount of attention in 2018, and I think it's still extremely undervalued. I believe it's going to see some new all-time highs as they continue to have coin burns, supply continues to decrease. That's what allows a coin to have an intrinsic value, which eventually deems its true value in US dollar amount. So in my opinion right now, this is one of the most bullish coins you can be in right now, and I highly recommend looking more into it, researching it a little bit more. And what's interesting about this whole scenario is the fact that an exchange is going to be needed in 5 or 10 years to exchange these tokens. And the Binance CEO in his keynote actually talked about how everything in the world is going to eventually be tokenized, and he believes that in several years we're going to see hundreds and hundreds of thousands of tokens, and understand that we're going to need a place to exchange these tokens. And if the BNB coin is lowering transaction costs, it has intrinsic value, it has use case, it's going to continue to see demand, it's going to continue to grow, especially when you have a CEO like Chen Peng, hopefully I didn't murder that name, Mr. Cheng Peng, leading this vision. And understand that as a quarterback, it doesn't matter how you get to the end zone, whether it's a Hail Mary, whether it's a pass play, a lateral, a screen, as long as you get to the end zone, you make the score. That's what matters. And I think that the Binance CEO has the potential to be a great leader in this revolution and can really take this to the next level. And I highly recommend looking more into the Binance coin. I hopefully you enjoyed this video. And other than that, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. So we'll see what type of discussions we can start. And for those of you that are on our Discord, we can even talk about this a little bit more here on our Discord. If you all know, we have this huge voice chat here with over 99 people in there at all times, 24/7, talking about different coins, having different call outs. Highly recommend getting on that. And what's also interesting about what we're doing right now with our trade signals is we're ensuring that we can get a wide market perspective by utilizing not just me, but other analysts to go ahead and initiate these trade alerts to ensure we can have the most accurate trade alerts. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And like always, snipers out.